Have you ever wondered about the stories in the Bible that remain shrouded in mystery, left almost untouched and unexplained? One such story involves Moses, not his life or miracles, but something that happened after his death. Why did the devil fight for Moses' body? What could have sparked such a cosmic dispute? Today, we're diving into the depths of this intriguing narrative to uncover the truth. Join us as we explore what this means, the deeper symbolism, and why it's relevant even today. Let's uncover this biblical mystery together. Moses is one of the most revered figures in the Bible. He led the Israelites out of Egypt, received the 10 Commandments from God, and guided his people through the wilderness. But unlike other biblical figures, Moses' death was unique, wrapped in a mystery that left many questions unanswered. In Deuteronomy 34, we learn that Moses died at the age of 120, and it was God himself who buried him in a location unknown to mankind. This secrecy alone sets Moses' death apart from others in biblical history. Why was his burial location hidden? And what was so special about his body that even the devil desired it? The dispute over Moses' body finds its mention not in the Old Testament, but in a small and often overlooked book of the New Testament, the book of Jude. In Jude 1 verse 9, we read about Michael the Archangel contending with the devil over Moses' body. But why would the devil care about Moses' body, and why would Michael intervene? To understand the weight of this story, let's revisit Moses' role and significance. Moses wasn't only a leader or prophet. He was a mediator between God and his people. He symbolized the law, the covenant that God made with the Israelites. Moses was unique in that he had a direct relationship with God, speaking to him face to face, as described in Exodus 33 verse 11. This level of intimacy with God made him an exceptional figure, and his role carried immense spiritual significance. The devil's contention over Moses' body likely speaks to the spiritual authority Moses held even after death. As the giver of the law, Moses embodied the covenant between God and Israel. Thus, any attempt by Satan to claim Moses' body could symbolize a challenge to this covenant or an attempt to tarnish the legacy Moses left behind. The account in Jude 1 verse 9 is brief, and scholars have long speculated on its origins. This verse mentions Michael the Archangel directly confronting Satan, saying, "The Lord rebuke you." It is important to note that Michael doesn't claim authority in his own name, but calls on God's authority to counter Satan's claim. This subtle detail emphasizes two things: the power of God's authority and the boundaries between celestial beings. Michael's words imply that even in disputes over significant matters, only God's authority holds ultimate sway. Michael, an archangel, knew this boundary well and did not dare to accuse Satan directly, reminding us that spiritual authority rests solely with God. The origins of this reference in Jude might come from Jewish traditions or extra-biblical texts like the Assumption of Moses or Testament of Moses, which were known during the New Testament era. These texts expand on the narrative of Moses' death and provide more context on his burial and the possible reasons for Satan's desire to claim his body. However, these texts are not part of the biblical canon and remain speculative. Many theologians have debated why Satan would want Moses' body. Here are a few interpretations that may shed light on this mystery. Symbol of power and control. Some scholars suggest that the devil may have wanted to use Moses' body as a means of control. If Satan had control over Moses' body, he might have used it to deceive the Israelites or even to instill idolatry. Moses was revered by his people, and any relic associated with him could have easily become an object of veneration, drawing the people away from worshipping God alone. An attempt to undermine God's covenant. Since Moses symbolized the law and the covenant with Israel, Satan might have sought his body as a way to discredit that covenant. By claiming Moses' body, Satan might have attempted to weaken Israel's faith or show that he could interfere with God's plans. Foreshadowing the resurrection. Another interpretation views this incident as a foreshadowing of resurrection power. Some believe that God intended to keep Moses' body intact for a future purpose, perhaps even in light of the Transfiguration event in the New Testament, where Moses appeared alongside Elijah with Jesus on the Mount, Matthew 17:3. If Satan had succeeded, it could have interfered with God's plan to showcase Moses as a testimony of faithfulness and redemption. A battle over holiness. Moses' body was potentially a holy vessel set apart by God. Satan's attempt to claim it could represent his desire to taint or corrupt what was sanctified by God. This perspective aligns with the idea that Satan consistently seeks to corrupt what is holy and disrupt the sacred. Michael the Archangel's involvement is also noteworthy. As a powerful archangel, Michael holds a unique role as a protector of God's people. His title, meaning "who is like God," reinforces his loyalty and dedication to God's authority. Michael's intervention in this dispute demonstrates the vigilance of divine protection over God's people and purposes. By rebuking Satan in the name of the Lord, Michael affirms that God alone has dominion over life and death. The phrase, "the Lord rebuke you," has become a model of resistance against satanic forces. It reminds believers of the strength found in God's authority. Michael's respectful approach, using God's name rather than his own, illustrates humility and obedience, showcasing the reverence that even angels show toward God. The dispute over Moses' body also carries deeper symbolic meanings. It represents the ongoing spiritual battle between good and evil. Just as Moses' body was contested, believers are often caught in spiritual struggles. This story can be seen as a reminder of the vigilance required in faith, the importance of relying on God's authority, and the reality of the unseen spiritual warfare that exists. The reverence and mystery surrounding Moses' burial site could also symbolize the sanctity and separateness of holy things. By leaving Moses' burial site unknown, God protected Israel from potential idol worship, highlighting the importance of focusing on God himself rather than any physical representation or symbol. This story holds practical lessons for believers today. The dispute over Moses' body teaches the importance of spiritual humility, the power of God's authority, and the ongoing nature of spiritual warfare. Like Michael, believers are called to resist the devil, not through personal strength, but through God's authority. This lesson reminds us to rely on prayer, scripture, and faith as we navigate spiritual challenges. Additionally, this story highlights the importance of discernment in worship. Moses was a powerful leader and a revered figure, but God kept his burial place a mystery to prevent any form of idol worship. This encourages believers to focus their reverence on God rather than on human leaders or physical relics, no matter how significant they may be. Finally, Moses' story reflects God's ultimate sovereignty and wisdom. The mystery surrounding his death and the subsequent dispute between Michael and Satan show that even in death, God's plans are sovereign and protected. Despite Satan's attempts to interfere, God ensured that Moses' legacy remained pure and that his role in salvation history would not be tainted. Moses appears later in the New Testament during the Transfiguration, standing alongside Elijah as a witness to Jesus' divine mission. This moment affirms that Moses' legacy is indeed tied to God's eternal plan, preserved and protected by God himself. The battle over Moses' body remains one of the Bible's most intriguing mysteries. This story reveals not only the ongoing cosmic struggle between good and evil, but also the profound respect that even celestial beings like Michael have for God's authority. It reminds believers of the power in God's name, the importance of humility, and the ever-present reality of spiritual warfare. So next time you hear about Moses, remember, his story didn't end at the Jordan River. His legacy, guarded by God and his angels, continues to inspire and teach us about faith, humility, and the strength found in trusting God's authority.